Okay, so it's the third of the Aisha filming, the third one.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha Sinclair and today I will be talking to you about our Reading Club Level 2 summer program. Before I begin discussing our summer program, I will introduce myself. As I said, my name is Aisha Sinclair and I have been here with Sister Sophie since August of 2018. In my time here at Sister Sophie, I have worked with various age groups from grade 1 all the way to the university level. I've also helped in the creation of our reading club and curating the book list that goes into our reading club. So now, to begin, let us talk about what is Reading Club. So, Reading Club is a course that we uniquely designed at Sister Sophie to allow students to engage and create a love for reading while also building upon their skills in text analysis. So something that I have noticed through working with students of various age ranges is that they once had a love for reading, and however it has changed, and they've started to not really like reading too much. And I feel that it is because they find it challenging. And I've been told by some students that they find it more challenging to read in English, so they've just decided not to enjoy reading anymore, or they refuse to read, or they just don't apply themselves as much. So I always keep in consideration that not all the students will have this love for reading, but my end goal with this course is to have them refine that love of reading so that they want to engage with the text, they want to be a part of the conversation, and also to help them so it's not as tricky as they may have once found it to be. So in our reading club, we introduce our students to various texts that will interest and encourage engagement with the text. So we've chosen some fun reads based on their age group, but also authors, that are very important to the literature canon, as well as all the way from Renaissance, so with Shakespeare, to our modern authors, which would be Neil Gaiman, who is a very big fantasy author today. Lastly, we have an extensive book list for our reading club. That also comes with recommendations. So we've created a reading list for every grade, from grade 1 all the way to grade 12. And on each of those lists we have 20 books, 10 which are standard, which the students will be introduced to, as well as 10 recommendations. By the end of this course, which is a 4-week course, if parents would like, so for example, if your child is in grade 4 and they're going into grade 5, we would be more than happy then to give you some recommendations as to some books they can read in the extra month that they have or the few weeks before school, because all the books on our list are books that they will encounter at some point in their academic careers in school. That then brings me to what are students going to learn in Reading Club. So in Reading Club, I have broken it down into 4 major components. The first being improve students' reading skills. So by improve students' reading skills, I mean an attention more so to punctuation more than anything. What I've noticed when I've asked students to read out loud in class is that they tend to, 1, read very quickly, and 2, disregard punctuation. So that includes commas, periods, question marks, exclamation marks, you name it. They just read a sentence super fast because they feel that the faster they get through it, the faster it's done. So by improving their reading skills, I want to focus on making sure that they pay attention to that period, that comma, that question mark, that exclamation mark, because the author has put it there for a reason. Otherwise, they could just write the whole story with periods. So for example, if I say, hi, my name is Aisha, there's a period at the end of that sentence. If I say, hi, my name is Aisha, there's a question mark at the end of that statement. If I say, hi, my name is Aisha, there's an exclamation mark at the end of that statement. And depending on how I say my name in that particular sentence is going to impact how you as the other person, or the student as the reader when looking at a text, is going to interpret that character. So for example, with the period, I sound just like anybody. It's an introduction. Hi, my name is Aisha. If I put that question mark, you might wonder, this person's not too sure of who they are. I wonder why they're questioning their name. And then if you have the exclamation point, you're going to be like, wow, that person's very excited. They're an animated character. And you're going to want to know, well, why are they so animated? Maybe something happened that made them so excited. Or maybe they're just happy to meet a particular person. So punctuation is very important in analyzing the text. And we're going to look very deeply and closely at this in the course. That then brings me to our second point, which is teaching the students how to analyze a text. So that goes beyond just our reading comprehension questions, because I am confident every student can do a reading comprehension question. It's very content-based. What happened at this point? What is the character encountering? When we're looking at analysis of the text, we're looking deeper than that. So we're basically putting a magnifying glass to our story, and we're taking a look. We're zooming in on that text. So like I said, punctuation. We're going to focus on a lot of foreshadowing. It's a skill that's going to aid the students in their academic careers. So by looking at foreshadowing, we're going to, let's say, look at chapters 1 to 4. And after we read chapters 1 to 4, we're going to make a guess about what we think is going to happen as the story progresses. Maybe we'll make a guess about what's going to happen by the end of the story, or we'll make a guess what might happen in our next section of reading, because an author is always going to leave little hints and clues for us as the reader, but it's up to us to be able to identify and find them so that we can also make our own little conclusions about how we think the story is going to go. Something else we're going to look at as well with the foreshadowing tool is predictions and outcomes. So while students are going to be encouraged to do those foreshadowing questions, they're also going to be asked to compare that now to the outcome. So maybe we'll try to look for what exactly could we have spotted in the text that led to that particular outcome. So what did we miss when we were making that guess, that foreshadowing about what's going to happen? Something else we're also going to do is we're going to always focus on plot structure. So we have our introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and conclusion. As we read our text, we're always going to identify what flows within each point, and we're going to go through this together as a group. And sometimes we'll even zoom in a bit more and look at a particular scenario within a work that also has some introduction, rising action, climax, falling action, and conclusion. Because it's not just one big plot. There's always little plots within a story. So we'll look at some of those as well. That then brings me to my third thing that they're going to learn, which is improving their writing skills. That is a very important component with reading. So there'll be various exercises students are going to be doing during their class. For example, we have an exercise where students are going to be asked to take on the characteristics of a particular character in one of our novels. He's not the nicest of characters, he's pretty mean, kind of grouchy, a little grumpy. Students are going to be asked to try to imagine themselves as that character and write a letter. So in doing this activity, 1, they practice their writing skills, and 2, they also get tested on their understanding and interpretation of character analysis, looking at those little bits of information that the author gives us in the text and incorporate that into this letter that this character is writing to their siblings. Over time, as well with this class, is I want to get students to be able to reach the point where they can identify their own mistakes in their work. That is one of the biggest critiques and things you could do and have as a skill. So first off, they'll write their work, I will edit, I will give it back, and I will expect them to rewrite their response like a good copy. Then I will move them on to peer development. So they will exchange their work with another student, and then they're going to look for each other's errors, exchange it back, and then do a good copy, which I will take a final look at to see how each student is able to identify errors in their work. Lastly, we're going to get to that point where students are going to write their work, and then they're going to look at it after. Read out loud, make sure punctuation is correct, make sure sentence fragmentation isn't off. They're going to look at all these things in their work, and then they're going to write their own good copy, and they're going to ensure that they give me the rough copy and the good copy. That way I can see how their own analysis of their writing has improved over time. Lastly, students are going to increase their vocabulary development. And a lot of students are very strong with vocabulary. However, with the text we're looking at, because some of our texts are very old, we're going to be looking at William Shakespeare. That's early modernism. That's the beginnings of English literature. So we're going to be introduced to a lot of words that students might not necessarily be familiar with because they're not really in use today, but they're words that are a big part of English literature, especially